Ever get that feeling, that feeling like you're being kind of expertly nudged into doing something you never planned on?
Yeah.
Like maybe you bought that gadget you swore you didn't need.
Mm-hmm.
Well, today we're diving deep, deep into the psychology behind all that persuasion stuff, specifically those sneaky tricks used in scams and fraud.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be dissecting excerpts from a document all about identifying and preventing this kind of manipulation. And believe me, it gets really, really interesting.
It's fascinating because I think, we often think of scams as being all about tech hacks or stealing our data.
Right.
But this goes deeper, right? It's about hacking you.
Ooh.
Your decision-making.
Wow.
Using psychology as the weapon of choice.
That's kind of unsettling, isn't it? Like, if they can make even the savviest person fall for something, what chance do the rest of us have?
Yeah, I mean, that's where this deep dive comes in. Knowledge is power, right?
Right.
Take the classic grandparent scam. I mean, it sounds almost silly, right? Right. But it preys on such a powerful emotion. A grandparent's love and worry.
And they don't just rely on chance encounters.
No.
Our source material points out that scammers are using obituaries and social media to target grandparents specifically, gathering details to make their lies more convincing.
Exactly. It's a chilling example of how even our most basic human instincts can be turned against us. So let's unpack the 10 most common persuasion tricks this document outlines so you can spot them a mile away.
Okay. All right. Bring on the mind games.
All right.
First up is fear and urgency. You've probably encountered this one before.
Whoa, absolutely. This is a classic manipulation tactic, right?
Yeah.
Think of those frantic calls claiming your bank account is about to be frozen.
Oh, yeah.
Or the IRS is on your tail. They create a sense of panic, making you feel like you have to act now or face dire consequences.
So they short-circuit our rational thinking. Is that the idea?
Precisely. It bypasses your logical mind by triggering a primal fear response.
Oh, wow.
It's fight or flight, not let me calmly check the facts.
Yeah. Okay, so what's the best defense against this? Because I can definitely see myself spiraling if someone said, my bank account was compromised.
Right. The key is to pause and verify.
Okay.
Do not engage with the scammer directly.
Right.
Take that deep breath.
Okay.
Hang up the phone. And contact the organization they claim to represent using official contact information.
Okay, got it. Verify.
Yes.
Don't panic.
Right.
All right. Trick number 2 is the authority appeal, which I'm guessing isn't about respecting your elders.
Not quite. This one leverages our ingrained respect for authority figures. Think fake tech support calls claiming your computer's infected, or someone posing as a police officer demanding immediate payment. They're counting on you not questioning someone in a perceived position of power.
So the classic, an officer will be at your door tactic.
Yes.
Ugh, it plays right into that fear we just talked about.
It does.
But say someone calls claiming to be from, Microsoft. What should we do? We can't all be tech wizards.
Right. Hang up and contact Microsoft directly through their official website or customer service line. Never trust unsolicited contact, no matter how convincing they sound or how official they look.
Yeah, good point. And speaking of appearances, doesn't our source material mention, how uniforms and badges play into this?
That's right. Our brains are wired to respond to those visual cues of authority. Studies show that even a simple uniform can make us more compliant, regardless of the person wearing it.
Okay, that's really interesting. So it's not just about what they say, it's about how they present themselves. Moving on to trick number 3, sympathy and emotional appeals. This one feels especially insidious.
It truly is. This is where scammers exploit our empathy and compassion. They concoct,
That's right, where they build a whole fake relationship just to manipulate someone.
Yes.
Our source mentions those are increasingly common and incredibly devastating.
Absolutely. They'll profess their love, share intimate details, then invent emergencies requiring immediate financial assistance.
Wow.
And it's not just individuals. Fake charities often pop up after disasters, preying on people's genuine desire to help.
So it's they're weaponizing kindness, which feels extra awful.
Yeah.
What's the best way to avoid getting caught up in that emotional grab?
Research.
Okay.
Before offering support, whether to an individual or an organization, take the time to verify their legitimacy. Check independent sources, look for inconsistencies, and never send money to someone you haven't met in person.
Great advice. I'm already seeing a theme here that's all about slowing down and checking things out before we jump in.
You're picking up on the key takeaway already. Now, trick number 4 is scarcity and limited time offers.
Oh, yeah.
And I bet you felt this one in your gut.
Oh, for sure. It's that this deal ends in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Or only 2 spots left.
Right.
Feeling like suddenly I have to have it even if I didn't 5 minutes ago.
Exactly. They create that artificial urgency, making you believe you'll miss out on a fantastic opportunity if you don't act immediately. And that pressure bypasses your rational decision-making, leading to impulsive choices.
It's almost like they're creating like a FOMO-fueled panic.
Mm-hmm.
How do we resist that urge to jump on the bandwagon?
Simple. Don't make hasty decisions.
Okay.
Remember, legitimate opportunities rarely disappear overnight.
Right?
So take your time, research the offer, and if it seems too good to be true, well, you know the rest.
Right. Back to that healthy skepticism.
Yeah.
Okay, trick number 5 gets a bit more personal.
Yeah.
Trust building, or what's often called social engineering. It sounds almost like a spy movie.
It has that element of manipulation for sure. This is where scammers try to build a rapport with you, making you feel like you know and trust them even though you've never met.
So like that grandparent scam we discussed where they pretend to be a family member?
Exactly. Or someone pretending to be a friend of a friend, referencing shared connections to gain your trust. They might even use information gleaned from social media to personalize their approach.
Wait, so they're basically pretending to be our friends. That's creepy.
Yes.
Does our source material say like how they pull that off without raising red flags?
They're often masters of observation and information gathering. They might use details from your online profiles, like your hobbies, interests, or recent activities, to make their story seem more plausible. It's all about creating that illusion of familiarity.
So we're essentially being profiled without even realizing it.
Yeah.
What's the best defense against this kind of like personalized manipulation?
Verification is key.
Okay.
If someone contacts you unexpectedly, claiming to be someone you know, independently verify their identity before sharing any information, or especially sending money.
Don't just take their word for it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Any other tips for like spotting a social engineer in action?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. If someone claims to be an old friend, ask them about specific memories or shared experiences that only a true friend would know.
Right.
If their answers are vague or inconsistent, that's a major red flag.
So we're turning the tables, putting them on the spot.
Exactly.
Okay, before we get too deep into the spy game, let's move on to trick number 6.
Yeah.
This one sounds a little more tempting, at least on the surface.
Mm-hmm.
Freebies and prizes.
Ah, yes. The classic appeal to our love for something for nothing, right? Congratulations, you've won a free cruise. Or claim your free iPad today. We've all seen these offers.
And we all know, like, the catch is coming, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no such a thing as a free lunch. But how do these scams actually work?
Well, the prize doesn't even have to be something extravagant, right? It
Yeah.
could be a gift card, a discount, or even just the promise of, like, early access to some amazing new product. But there's always a hook. They might require you to pay a processing fee, provide your credit card information for verification, or sign up for a service you don't need.
So they're basically getting something out of it, even if it seems like we're getting the free prize.
Precisely. And once they have your information or your money, it can be very difficult to get it back.
Okay, so how do we avoid this trap?
Remember, legitimate contests and giveaways never require you to pay any fees to claim your winnings. If you have to pay to get your free prize, it's a scam. Walk away, no matter how tempting it seems.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Now, trick number 7 feels a little more subtle. The reciprocity principle. What's that all about?
This one plays on our natural inclination to return favors, that feeling of obligation when someone does something nice for us.
Like when someone holds the door open and you feel like you have to say thank you.
Exactly. But scammers can exploit this. They might offer you something small, seemingly out of the blue, hoping to trigger that feeling of obligation.
Like, here's a free upgrade just for you, or just try this sample, no strings attached. And then comes the pitch, right?
Exactly. They'll try to leverage that sense of indebtedness to pressure you into buying something, making a donation, or sharing personal information.
So they're basically like buttering us up before they go in for the kill.
Well, that's putting it dramatically, but yes, they're trying to create a sense of obligation that they can then exploit.
So how do we avoid falling for this subtle manipulation?
Be wary of unsolicited offers and free gifts,
Okay.
especially if they come with a catch.
Right.
And remember, you are under no obligation to reciprocate just because someone gave you something.
It's about recognizing that initial gift might be a tactic, not genuine generosity.
Precisely. Trust your gut. If it feels like a sales tactic, it probably is.
Great advice. Okay, I think we start for one more before we take a break. Trick number 8 is fake testimonials and social proof. This one feels particularly relevant in the age of social media.
It's become increasingly prevalent and harder to spot. Scammers will flood you with glowing reviews, fake endorsements, and seemingly authentic social media posts to create the illusion of widespread approval and legitimacy.
It's that thousands of satisfied customers can't be wrong mentality, right?
Exactly. They're hoping you'll jump on the bandwagon, assuming that if so many other people are happy with the product or service, it must be legitimate.
And it's not just like text reviews anymore. They're using video testimonials, influencer endorsements, and even creating entire fake profiles to make their schemes seem more believable. It's almost like a full-blown marketing campaign, but for something that's completely bogus.
That's a great way to put it. They're investing in creating this facade of legitimacy, knowing that many people will simply accept it at face value.
So how do we avoid being fooled by this manufactured hype? How do we tell what's real and what's fake?
Be skeptical of overly positive or uniformly glowing reviews.
Okay.
Seek out independent sources of information.
Uh-huh.
And look for balanced opinions, both positive and negative.
Right.
Remember, genuine testimonials usually have a mix of perspectives.
So if everyone's raving about something, it's probably too good to be true.
It's worth digging a little deeper, right?
Yeah.
Look for critical reviews, complaints, or even just neutral opinions. If you can't find anything but praise, that's a major red flag.
Excellent advice. And on that note of healthy skepticism, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment with more from the Deep Dive. Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Mm-hmm.
Before the break, we were getting into the nitty-gritty of those persuasion tricks, those sneaky tactics that scammers use to kind of manipulate our decisions.
And I think we can all agree, some of these are pretty unsettling.
Yeah.
I mean, it really makes you question how much control we actually have over our choices,
It's definitely eye-opening. But as you said earlier, knowledge is power. By understanding these tricks, we can start to build defenses against them.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the how to protect yourself section from our source material. And the first tip is deceptively simple. Stay skeptical.
It sounds almost too obvious, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we already be skeptical of things that sound too good to be true?
It's easy to say, but much harder to practice consistently. We're bombarded with information and offers all the time. And,
Right.
and it's easy to let our guard down, especially when we're tired, distracted, or emotionally vulnerable.
So it's about being consciously skeptical even when we don't feel like it.
Exactly. And make it a habit to question everything.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to unsolicited offers, unexpected requests, or anything that triggers that too good to be true feeling.
All right.
Ask yourself, is this person who they claim to be?
Right.
Do their claims hold up under scrutiny? Is there a hidden agenda here?
It's like having that little voice in the back of your head saying, hold on a second, let's think this through.
Precisely. And remember, it's much easier to prevent a scam than to recover from one.
Okay. The next tip is take your time, which seems to go against our fast-paced instant gratification world.
It does, and that's exactly what scammers are counting on, right?
Right.
They thrive on urgency, pressuring you to make quick decisions without thinking things through.
Like those limited time offers we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They know that if they can get you to act impulsively, you're less likely to spot the red flags.
Exactly. So resist that pressure.
Okay.
Step back, breathe, and give yourself time to evaluate the situation rationally.
So if someone's pushing you to act now, that's a clear sign to pump the brakes.
Absolutely. Legitimate opportunities rarely disappear overnight.
Right.
Take the time to do your research, talk to a trusted friend or advisor,
Uh-huh.
and even sleep on it if you can. Never let anyone rush you into making a decision you're not comfortable with.
Good advice.
Yeah.
I'm definitely the type to impulse buy. So this is a good reminder for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the next tip is verify independently, which I'm guessing goes back to that like trust but verify mentality.
You got it.
Yeah.
Don't just take someone's word for it, especially if they're claiming to represent, an authority figure or organization.
So if someone calls claiming to be from like my bank,
Right.
I shouldn't just like hand over my account details.
Definitely not. Always confirm their identity and claims through official channels.
Okay.
Hang up and call the bank directly using the number on your card or statement, not the number they provide.
Because that could lead you right back to the scammer.
Exactly. And this applies to online interactions as well. Verify websites, email addresses, and social media profiles carefully. Our source material has a great section on spotting fake websites, which are getting incredibly sophisticated.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
Mm-hmm.
They look almost identical to the real thing.
Right.
What are some telltale signs we should be looking for?
Look for misspellings, grammatical errors, unusual URLs, or inconsistencies in their branding.
Okay.
If something seems off, it probably is. Don't be afraid to do a quick Google search to see if others have reported the website as suspicious.
Good tips. Okay, tip number 4 is educate yourself, which sounds a bit like homework.
It is an ongoing process, but it's essential. The world of scams is constantly evolving.
Right.
So staying informed about common tactics and emerging trends is crucial.
So where can we go to stay up to date on these things?
There are some excellent resources available. In the United States, the Federal Trade Commission, FTC website, is a great place to start. They have up-to-date information on current scams, fraud prevention tips, and even a place to report scams.
So if you see something, say something.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of sharing information with friends and family. By talking about these scams and sharing our experiences, we can help protect each other.
Right. It's like creating a community shield against scammers.
I like that. Sharing is caring, especially when it comes to protecting ourselves and our loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last but not least, we have trust your instincts. This one feels a bit more intangible.
It is, but it's perhaps the most important tip of all, right?
Right.
Your gut feeling is a powerful tool, often picking up on subtle cues that something isn't right, even if you can't consciously articulate it.
So if something just feels off,
Right.
even if we can't pinpoint exactly why, we should pay attention to that feeling.
Absolutely. If an offer seems too good to be true, if you get a sense of unease or suspicion,
Yeah.
if the person you're dealing with seems evasive or pushy, listen to that inner voice.
It's like that spidey sense tingling, telling us to proceed with caution.
Exactly. And remember, it's better to err on the side of caution than to ignore those warning signs and potentially become a victim. Okay, so we've talked about how to prevent scams, but what happens if we do find ourselves in a questionable situation? What are the steps we should take?
That's a great question, and our source material covers that as well. It outlines a clear action plan if you suspect you've encountered a scam.
Let's walk through those steps, because I think knowing what to do in that moment can help us feel more empowered, even if we're feeling scared or confused.
Absolutely. The first step is straightforward. Stop communication.
Okay.
Cease all contact with the suspected scammer immediately.
So no matter how tempting it is to argue with them, to try to get your money back, or to try to figure out what's going on, we just need to cut off contact completely.
Exactly. Don't engage in further conversations, don't click on any links they send, and don't provide any additional information. Just walk away.
Got it. Silence is golden, especially when dealing with potential scammers.
Yeah.
What's the next step?
Report the incident. This is crucial, not only for your own protection, but also to help authorities track down scammers and prevent others from becoming victims.
So we're not just protecting ourselves, we're helping to protect others as well.
Precisely. By reporting the incident, you're contributing to a larger effort to combat fraud and hold scammers accountable. In the United States, you can file a complaint with the Federal Trade Commission, FTC, or the Internet Crime Complaint Center, IC3.
And I'm guessing other countries have similar agencies we can contact.
Absolutely. Globally, you should contact your local consumer protection agency or law enforcement authorities.
Okay.
And when reporting the incident, provide as much detail as possible.
So even if it feels embarrassing or we're not sure if it's serious enough, it's it's still worth reporting.
Absolutely. Every report helps build a more comprehensive picture of scam activity, which can lead to investigations and ultimately prosecutions.
Okay, that makes sense. What else should we keep in mind when reporting a scam?
Save any emails, text messages, or other documentation you have,
Okay.
as this can be valuable evidence. Screenshots, voicemails, even handwritten notes.
Okay.
Anything that can help corroborate your account of what happened.
So it's like building a case file, even if we don't think we'll ever like see a courtroom.
You got it. Documentation is key.
Okay.
Now, the third step is warn others.
Fair.
Share your experience with friends, family, and your wider network to raise awareness and help protect them from similar scams.
So it's about like turning a negative experience into something positive
Yeah.
by helping others avoid the same pitfalls.
Exactly. You can also, post about your experience on social media or online forums, but be mindful of sharing any personally identifiable information.
Good point. We don't want to become victims
Right.
twice over by accidentally like exposing ourselves online.
Right. And finally, the last step is monitor your accounts. This is especially important if you've shared any financial information or account details with the suspected scammer.
So even if we think we caught it in time, we should still be on high alert.
Absolutely. Check your bank statements, credit card bills, and online accounts regularly for any unauthorized transactions or suspicious activity.
Okay.
If you notice anything unusual, report it to your financial institution immediately and consider placing a fraud alert or freeze on your credit reports.
So it's just like doing damage control, making sure they haven't managed to slip anything past us.
Exactly. It's better to be safe than sorry.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, from understanding the psychology behind persuasion tricks to learning practical steps for protecting ourselves. But I think it's important to remember that everyone is susceptible to these tactics.
Absolutely. No one is immune to manipulation, and scammers are constantly refining their techniques to exploit our vulnerabilities.
Right.
That's why ongoing awareness, education, and vigilance are so crucial. This isn't a one-time lesson,
Right.
It's a lifelong practice.
Right. It's about staying informed, staying skeptical, and trusting our gut.
Yeah.
And I think it's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Hmm.
By sharing information and supporting each other, we can make it much harder for scammers to succeed.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought, something to ponder as you navigate the world of, choices, offers, and requests.
Okay, hit us with that thought-provoking question.
Think about a recent situation where you felt pressured to make a decision.
Okay.
Maybe it was a sales pitch, an online offer, or even just a conversation with a friend.
Could be anything, really. Any situation where we felt that nudge to say yes, even if we weren't entirely sure.
Now, reflect on that experience. Could any of the persuasion tricks we've discussed have been at play? Did you feel a sense of urgency, authority, scarcity, or emotional manipulation?
Were those alarm bells going off even if we didn't quite register them at the time?
Exactly. This isn't about being, paranoid or distrusting of everyone. It's about developing a healthy level of skepticism and critical thinking, which are essential skills in today's world.
It's about being aware of the forces that might be influencing our decisions, even if those forces are subtle or unconscious.
Precisely. And remember, the more we practice these skills, the more natural they become.
So keep those critical thinking skills sharp, folks. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of persuasion tricks. We'll catch you next time on the deep dive.
We've been unpacking some pretty heavy stuff in this deep dive. The ways people can be manipulated even without realizing it.
It is. It's definitely a lot to process, and it can be kind of overwhelming to think about all the potential like pitfalls out there.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm taking this straight from our source material. Awareness. Awareness is our biggest asset.
Right.
The more we understand these tricks, the less likely we are to fall victim. It's like learning a new language. Once you understand the grammar and vocabulary, you can decipher even the most complex sentences. Similarly, once you understand the patterns and techniques of persuasion fraud, you start to see through those tactics.
It's almost like a code we're cracking, like a secret language of manipulation. And once we know the code, we can't unknow it. It's like a superpower.
I like that analogy. It's about empowering ourselves, not becoming like paranoid or distrusting of everyone.
Right.
It's about informed discernment.
Right. It's not about shutting ourselves off from the world, but about engaging with it in a smarter, more aware way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a message worth sharing.
And
Our source material talks about the importance of spreading awareness, and I think that's key.
absolutely. Scammers thrive on secrecy and isolation. By talking openly about these issues, sharing information, and supporting each other, we create a more resilient and informed community.
That's like a neighborhood watch, but for our minds.
Exactly. We're looking out for each other, sharing tips, warning signs, and supporting those who might have been affected.
So if we had to distill everything we've discussed into like one key takeaway, what would it be?
Be aware, be skeptical, and trust your instincts. You know, the world is full of people trying to manipulate us for their own gain.
Right.
But by arming ourselves with knowledge and critical thinking skills, we can navigate this complex landscape with confidence and protect ourselves from harm.
Powerful, powerful stuff. And on that note of empowerment, we want to leave you with one final thought, something our source material touches on that really resonated with me.
Go on. I'm intrigued.
It's the idea that while we need to be cautious, we shouldn't let like fear paralyze us.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, there are scammers out there, but there are also countless genuine people and organizations doing good in the world.
That's a crucial point. It's about finding that balance, being aware of the risks without letting them dictate our every interaction.
Right. It's about approaching the world with open eyes and a discerning mind.
Mm.
Asking questions, checking things out, but not letting like skepticism turn into cynicism.
Exactly. It's about being smart, not scared.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of persuasion tricks. We hope you've learned something valuable, something you can use to protect yourself and those you care about.
And remember, knowledge is power. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep those critical thinking skills sharp.
Until next time, stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay safe out there.